Good morning and welcome to this, the latest episode of On the Buses. And this week, Olive comes home to discover that Jack has reversed his bus into the front room of the house, and much chaos and laughter ensues. We're through the looking glass here, folks. That's the best way I can describe it to you. Okay, let's go through this whole, because during the night there's been this whole Gattuso out and not in my name and none shall sleep and all this business and talk of fan power. I think I may have the answer for you, and it's two words: George Mendes, super agent. Like I said to you in the last tape yesterday, and I'm not doing multiple tapes during a day because it's just ridiculous. I will do if it's really worth it, but the speed of the chaos at Spurs is just too fast. So, couple of points. It's patently clear that either Fonseca is going to be announced, or the talks were nowhere near as advanced as was suggested by the press. And that would go back to yesterday's first clip, I think, where I asked you, where is he? If he's waiting to start with the other guy on the 1st of July, then why hasn't there just been an announcement that they'll announce them on the 1st? Because we're still a fair amount of time away from that, and it would be good to know that a plan was in place. Perhaps there isn't a plan in place. Who knows? One character I'm just going to pick on. I'm going to pick on another one at the end, just to even it out with the witch hunting. The Spurs press officer has got to go, and by that I mean he has to be fired out of a cannonball, or a cannon even. But you used to get those old circus acts. He's supposed to be a communications officer, and all he is communicating at this stage, and has been for some time, is complete and utter disinformation. So we've got to stop this. It really is just ridiculous. Right, so the narrative will run that Gattuso was a close shave, but the fans rose up and smited the club's plans. And we discovered within hours that the caveman had some unappetizing worldviews. George Mendes, I don't think any of this happened at all. The last time we spoke, Gattuso had been ejected from Fiorentina some 17 hours before. So even allowing for time differences and blah, 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 the story, the concoction that the Spurs were just, the closing final furlongs with Fonseca, and they're coming up to the post, and they've looked over their shoulder and seen this beautiful Gattuso stallion appear from nowhere and suddenly pulled up and decided to switch horses. That doesn't make any sense at all. Gattuso is not a head turner. Gattuso is a bum. He's a guy who has been at 12 clubs, none of which he's achieved anything. He's won one Coppa Italia, so he's been at 12 clubs, and I think I'm right in saying he of those 12, I think it's either 3 or 4 of which of those appointments he's actually retained his job beyond the 1 year line. So he is Gattuso. I mean, I said yesterday, you kind of grow up with these characters. The guy that went to headbutt Joe Jordan. And if you missed that, look the video up on the old YouTubes there, because you don't need to be a brilliant lip reader to catch Jordan giving him a touch of Glaswegian hospitality. And he says something along the lines of, "Anytime you're effing like," which I don't think Gattuso's probably heard that often, but it made me laugh at the time. But that was going back a few years. I think Daniel Levy on this particular occasion is right. There's people mocking him this morning, and they're welcome to do so. I've been doing it for a decade at least. But I think because he's awful in so many respects, it doesn't stop him from being right occasionally, and we can insert the sort of stopped clock joke at will. But Mendes, the super agent, is behind the Gattuso thing. I don't believe Tottenham has spoken to him at all. And the press are so desperate. I can't tell you the business model. I mean, this is a totally different conversation, and I know it's going to be boring to some, so I will keep it extremely brief. But the way articles are aggregated these days, and the hoops that have to be jumped through, and then this business of trying to have paywalls and not have paywalls. Do you know what the story is? People are crying out for clicks. Thankfully, you're talking to somebody who wasn't born last week, so I can offer you a little bit of perspective. But the desperation to just get it out, get a fat headline on it and get it out. And we'll come to that again before the close of this. So what happened with Fonseca? I'm looking for a compelling argument. So it's either still on, and the whole thing has been an absolute circus, or he's had second thoughts. People talk to each other, and it was mentioned on more than one account yesterday that there was this business about tax liabilities that were suddenly cropped up. Italians do have quirks in their tax regs, but for a grown man to go through lengthy conversations, agree a deal in principle, have yet to sign it as such, but then only to realise that he's going to be significantly out of pocket, that would suggest the man is an imbecile. And for all the looking down my nose, your nose, the collective noses at Fonseca, the Fons, I don't think he's an imbecile. I don't think he comes across as a decent enough human being. Where to now? We're 2 months down the road, nearly 60 days from the Mourinho sacking. And I think the penny will be dropping for some of you that this has cast a ripple upon the water. And lots of people who, how can I phrase this delicately, have a bit more foresight than some, realised that this was going to be a really bad selling point. So we've had all the spin, we've had all the flim-flam, and yeah, world-class stadium, world-class this, blah, 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 but you finish 7th, you set fire to your manager a week before a cup final. You're in a state of utter chaos. You've got huge financial restraints. There is no rebuild, by the way. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is Harry Kane gets sold, and you'll get 50p and a packet of quavers out of it. Ten Hag's name's going to come up again, I guarantee it. But the problem with that is that this is a poison chalice, and even if Ten Hag could be wooed, which I think Spurs are finding it increasingly difficult to woo anybody, he's got too much integrity to just quit on Ajax. He's an Ajax man, loves the club, loves everybody there, and Tottenham's reputation has been well and truly kicked into the curb by our man Levy. Life for Daniel must be increasingly uncomfortable. There's only so many times you can say, oh yes, but you know, all this speculation. Well, the trouble is, mate, the speculation vacuum's there because you created it. If you announced Sam Allardyce tomorrow, and I'm just pulling that out at random, that's what she said. If you announce Sam tomorrow, all the speculation goes. But you sitting there, whatever you're doing, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything tangible. You might be beavering away. You might be going absolutely bonkers, you know, in the background. But the perception is poor. And as I said previously, the optics are poor. It looks like you're... I don't know. The language I'd like to use isn't favourable. So, life imitates art. Has Spurs turned virtually every episode into any episode of In the Thick of It, or for our overseas friends, Veep, which is to say there's self-inflicted chaos, and you know, it's all going to end in tears and flames every single bloody episode. Excuse me, a couple of tweets that tickled. Rabbi Simon Ping Pong, who is a great account to follow. BBC now reporting that Daniel Levy is no longer a realistic chairman. Seb Stafford Blaw. Tottenham should release that video again in which Daniel talks incredulously about receiving criticism. Yep, I make you right. Dixon Hill. Another one for our high-flying intellectual element of the audience. 90% of Americans, Canadians are picturing David ranting on Schitt's Creek. Very uninterested in that opinion. BPJ, did Larry David write this script? It's hilarious. And Darren Back, if it's an Italian tax problem with employees from Italy, why are we talking to another Italian? And I think, Darren, you've nailed it there. The idea that one Italian is okay, but the other Italian isn't because of tax regs or whatever, is just nonsense. Unintentional funny of the last 24 hours. That award, of course, goes to our dear friend Jack Pitbrook. This is the guy who picked up the rumour about Poch back to Spurs and ran with it and caused absolute chaos when nothing was happening. He put out last night, and I thought to myself at the time, really? And it was exclusive. Tottenham closing in on appointing Gennaro Gattuso as new head coach. And I thought to myself this morning, because my mind is focused on all this nonsense, I wonder if anybody said anything to him about that, about it being exclusive, because that didn't come. It wasn't exclusive. Fabrizio Romano and all the other guys, and Di Marzio, they were all tweeting it not weeks, but you know what I mean, hours before he did. And what a surprise. I go back to the article, and it's now entitled Tottenham closing in on appointing Gennaro Gattuso as new head coach, and the exclusive bit has been binned. Yeah, the desperation, the clicks aren't out there anymore, and the market has gone to poop. So that's one of the reasons that I've moved on to here. Well, not lock and stock, but it's about finding new audiences, and you've been great in the main. Those of you that haven't, you're not here anymore. Thank you very much. That's it for today. I might come back, but it's a really weak kind of threat. Subscribe, like, whatever it is, tell your friends, and I'll speak to you soon. Keep it Tottenham.